What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations. 2018 Innovation Award winner, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show for dads, fathers, and male caregivers that's sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And being part of that team, reach out directly and indirectly to over 400,000 dads, fathers, and male caregivers around the world. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We are on the Morning Vibe, May 23rd, and the month is coming to an end. I think this month's been a bit, I don't know, it was fast at the beginning for me. Then it got a little bit slow because, man, in the, I guess, the Greater Toronto area, we have had, as my dad would say, about 3 or 4 days of night. And what do I mean by that? Or what does he mean by that? It's just been cloudy, cloudy, cloudy. We haven't seen any sunshine. None. I don't think we're going to get anything into tomorrow, but we've had piles of rain. Piles of rain. But hey, you know what? Take what we can get because it's always worse somewhere. But people say, well, it's always better somewhere. Well, you know what? I look at life as much as possible glass half full, not half empty. And it's another day coming up to another weekend and looking forward to some more good stuff. It's been quite a good week for myself. Done a number of conversations. Last night did a really good, deep, in-depth conversation about pro-life versus pro-choice. It was very interesting. Very, very good. And there's just a lot of opportunities coming up that I feel very humbled and very blessed. A lot of good opportunities coming up in my world and that are through me. It doesn't just involve me. It's involved serving others. And that's what we're all about. That's what we're all about. So if you don't see him, Ryan Knight, I hope Ryan is a very busy guy. So I know he's not going to be joining us today, but he is here in spirit. And that is good. This week has been crazy. You know, I don't try to pay a lot of attention to the politics, especially what's going on in the United States. But anytime I turn something on, it's always something new that's going down in the U.S. So I just don't want to deal with it too much. Hey, I see some people have chimed in here. Please say good morning, hello, hello. I did see earlier on. Look at this. Look at this. I see ACBN Canada says good morning. And then, oh, wow, my goodness, haven't seen you for a while. JJ Mars, my man from Colorado. Hey, JJ Mars, what is going on today? How you doing? Haven't seen you in a minute. So good to see you, JJ Mars. Good to see you this morning. Good to see you, JJ Mars from Colorado. What is going on in Colorado? Well, what's going on in the United States, JJ Mars? Some of us need some lens on what's going down in Colorado, in the United States in general. So I know you always bring your good lens. For myself, like I said, a number of things a lot of people on a Friday like to wind it down on a Friday. Well, our friend that's coming on, I know he's got a lot of things going on today. And myself, I got up this morning, relaxed, did my devotions, meditations, etc. And I looked at my schedule going, why did I book so much stuff today? I'm going, okay, gonna just have to get that energy and get through it because I have a lot of things to do from now till about 3 o'clock today. A lot of stuff, but don't feel bad about it, but looking forward to it. What are the things I want to chat about? Coming up on Monday's show, what do we have? Actually, we have two people from the Daily Scrum online newspaper coming up, talking about the amount of missing Black Canadians. They did a story about that. Oh, look who's here. Roger Dundas says, good morning, sir. Good morning, Mr. Dundas. Actually, myself and our friend were talking about the great event that Buy Blacks put on a little over 2 weeks ago. And actually, I don't know if it was the first time I met. Maybe I had met our friend there before. I'm going to have to ask him when he comes out live. But him and his wife, Was a pleasure to meet them. And he also talked about how a bunch of you, including yourself, Roger and Camille, went to Sugarcane Restaurant. Love it. JJ Marr says, America becoming more hard right wing. So JJ Marr's interesting comment. Do you feel it's more hard right wing at the top levels of government or the general populace? That would be my question. Is it becoming more hard right wing general populace or and at the top of American government, or is it just the American government at the top? Be interested to get your comments on that. Yes, food. I did. I don't know if I've mentioned this, but going back to the Buy Black's Black Restaurant Week kickoff, I think I told people I bought some ginger lemonade from a Black-owned company there, and I loved it, and I'm not going to mention their name, it had 25 or 26% sugar content. I'm going, this is crazy. Like, it tasted good. No wonder there was so much sugar in it. What did I do? And people are going to say, oh, you're not supporting Black business. But I went online, went on YouTube, say, how to make ginger lemonade. It's really simple. It's really simple. I bought the ingredients, ginger, honey, and lemons. And the only other thing you need is water and a blender. And I've been making batches all week long. And ginger's good for you. Lemons are good for you. I just put a little bit of honey in, not too much. It's all good. So that is working out fine. Let's see. JJ Marr says, starts from the top and it trickles down to the rest of society. Okay, gotcha. Talking about the state of American politricks. Okay, love it. Love it. Okay. I think, you know what? I want to do something here because I'm not liking something here. Give me a second. I'd like to do something and I'm gonna have to, because I don't like the way my camera's looking. All right, I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna do it as we're warming up because I don't want to do it during a conversation. Okay, there. I like that better. Yeah, I didn't like the way my camera was looking. I wanted to change it on the fly. Okay, so thank you for being so tolerable with Dr. Vibe and the technical things. Actually, last night I was hosting the pro-life versus pro-control versus pro-life conversation, or vice versa. And my camera, wasn't liking my camera look. I'm going, So got that straightened out. I feel better now. All right, let's go to break. And before we go to break, I just want to say that we got a a friend who has been, I've been a few months, he's been on, saw him a few weeks ago. And people know him for his deep knowledge of AI. But he's flipping the script today. But he is talking about business, and especially the business of the NFL. So we'll be back in 30 seconds with Perry Douglas on the Morning Vibe. So look forward to seeing you back in 30 seconds. You know what time it is? It's primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala.
He wants to either kick this man out or take over. And that's the thing that should scare everyone.
Will they begin at the end of winter? Will they begin at the beginning of summer? But one thing that's for sure, there will be protests.
We're already at this risk. We've already passed it. There is no putting things back in the box. Now we just all have to ride this roller coaster screaming.
There we go. Primetime Saturday with Aisha and Lala. Saturday afternoons, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Pacific. And I will be doing another show tomorrow. Last week, Lala she lost her voice for about 2 weeks. And I'm speaking that she's going to be back with us. But last week's show, Dr. Tachi filled in for Lala, and Aisha and Lala went in for about 2 hours and 15 minutes. If you want, go to the Dr. Vibe Show YouTube page, catch the replay. But I'm also posting a lot of shorts on that from that show. But the replay is up, so a lot of shorts. Let's do some housework. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. We have cleanly passed 1,810 subscribers. Our next plateau, or our next goal is 1,820 YouTube subscribers. If you haven't yet, but you're up to it, please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube. Hit the notification button. There's, like I said, I've posted this Monday's conversation on, and we've got tomorrow, probably 2 on Sunday and 1 on Monday in regards to upcoming shows. And we have a series coming up. It may seem like it's a long way away, but is it in June, July? We're going to be doing a monthly series on the Black elderly and helping them, especially when it comes to downsizing, because a lot of Black elderly individuals have homes and they want to, it's too big for them and they want to transition to something smaller. We have someone coming on in a series for once a month. It will be on the Morning Vibe, talking about helping the Black elderly, especially when it comes to house, living quarters, etc. So that is coming up, and I have another meeting today with another person in regards to doing some stuff on Black women's health. So things happening. So that's why you got to hang out on the YouTube channel, especially. Join the Morning Vibe Discord group. Email me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com, or click on the link you see on the screen. And I'll also be putting a lot of this information you'll get on my platforms where you're watching this live or on the replay. To advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms I'm on, please email me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And finally, we cannot forget Indie Soup Media. I said Dr. Tachi runs Indie Soup Media, independent media content creators platform on YouTube, probably in their 14 months now and getting very close to 30,000 subscribers. And she always forgets, and I always need to say that only 4% of all YouTube channels, I think, even have 10,000 subscribers. Through her hard and all the content creators' work, 30,000 subscribers in 14 months. So I highly encourage you to check it out. All right, that's it for today. I had mentioned our friend for today. He's been on a few times before. We last saw each other at the Buy Black Restaurant Week kickoff, and I got to bring him up. I met him and his wife, but I don't know if him and I met. I know I had never met his wife before, but I did. I said, did I meet him before? So as he gets his thing all set up, we're going to bring to the stage Mr. Perry Douglas. How you doing?
Not bad, man. How are you?
Good. It sounds like you've had a pretty active morning.
My morning is my morning starts at 5:30 and it's super active. I got a pretty busy day today, all the way up to about 1 o'clock. So
wow,
it's all good, man. You know.
Wow. So what's been going on with all the different things? Or I know there's some things you're maining about. What are some of the things
Yeah, one of the things we're doing now is our company 6AI Technologies. As you know, we've been developing software, so we are looking to actually deploy our so we're 6AI Technologies. We're also in a partnership with McGill University School of Business, the DataSphere Lab. So we are going to be deploying the software there, to test it and all that kind of stuff. But we're also going to be deploying it with real businesses. We're going to basically be giving the software to some businesses. It's a strategy development software. So we're going to be giving it to these businesses so they can try. Actually, Roger and Buy Blacks will be one of the participants. Actually, Ray McMillan too.
Very nice.
Yeah. And we have governments and we have large corporations. So we're just trying to show, how agnostic the software is and how anybody can use it. So, we're challenging the status quo, and we're going for it.
What is strategy development software? I have not heard that term that often. So what does this software do?
So long story short, what we're doing is we're looking to disrupt and replace consultants. So the big consultants from the PwCs, McKinsey and Company, the usual suspects. So usually when an organization wants to build a business strategy, an operational strategy, governance strategy, functional, whatever type of strategy it is, they would call in a consultant firm, right? And that consultant firm will charge them tens, hundreds, and depending on the size, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars to build basically a PowerPoint presentation. Give you a PowerPoint presentation and that's it. What we are basically doing, we are providing you software, it's in the SaaS model, software as a service, that essentially you can build you can build your strategy yourself. So quickly, if you ChatGPT, what does ChatGPT do? ChatGPT, you punch something into ChatGPT, it spits out, a quick response, which is basically a summarization. And it's only based on their large language models, their training data. That's it. So if it doesn't exist in that training data, it's not going to pitch out. We are building what we call focus language models. And we have a particular IP that is more Socratic, where it asks you more questions and then it goes out and finds the information to help you put together a strategy. So a lot of it is based on philosophy and mathematics, but we are opposite of what the ChatGPT, Google Gemini, and all that. So we go beyond where people can actually, replace the consultant. Because what does a consultant do? For example, they will go out, they will access data, they will access information, and come back to you with a PowerPoint presentation and charge you hundreds of thousands of dollars. In the digital age, right, with AI, right, you can do that yourself.
Yeah.
Right, you can do it yourself with the right software. So that's who we're disrupting, and we're looking forward to it.
Oh, I'm very curious to find out more about this. Because
hey, brother, listen, billionaire ain't easy.
No, but just before we get into the main topic,
yeah, no problem.
What level of business are you looking at? Have you picked the businesses you want to test
Great
this?
question. Great question.
Because I'm interested, but I don't know if I have that level of business, because I am fascinated by what you just said right now, and that is really interesting.
Yeah. So that's a great question. So if you're interested, I'll be happy to have you demo in the software for your business, because there's no level. There's no level, right? There's no level of business. Our software you're familiar with Canva, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we're the Canva of strategy, basically. That's if you think about it that way, we are the Canva of strategy. Canva is like a $50-60 billion company now. They haven't gone public. They do about $2 billion a year. And they kind of, and to be quite honest with you, Canva is my role model in terms of how we build it. So basically, hey, Dr. Vibe is sitting there and he's trying to, figure out.
Can I interrupt? I'm going to give you an example.
Yeah.
So I have a opportunity.
Yeah.
To do something that has not been done in Canada before.
Yep.
And I don't like the word pitch. I'd like to offer this to different organizations to see if they want to come in and sponsor.
Yep.
That's a sort of thing. And also strategic planning in regards to my platform, but also opportunity, because I'm right in the world of sponsorship.
Yep.
I'm not just like right in.
Yep.
This is why I want to try, because
okay,
I'm working on something.
Yep.
And I'd love to chat this. I'm all over this, because
I'll give you a quick thing of what you can do. The key is, right, what the consultants had in the past before the digitization of the world is access to information. And information was excluded from sort of the general population. So now Dr. Vibe wants to, whatever you're doing there about sponsorship, right? There's a world of information out there. The key is, can you access it, right? In the digital age, you can access it with the right technology tools, which what we're building. So you would literally go in and say, hey, so our system is conversational, right? So basically it's a conversational system. It's not like ChatGPT, put it in, boom, spits it out. It's a conversational system. So you would go into the system and you would begin the conversation. You would say, hey, literally you would talk like you're talking normally, right? So we are linguistically, our software is linguistically, designed to basically have normal human-like conversation. So you just basically go in and say, hey, you know what? I'm starting a project in sponsorship. Here's my business model. You one or two sentences, not even two sentences. You ask the computer, then the computer will come back to you with questions, and it'll just start a question process, and then it'll just pull down.
Sorry to be non-digital, but I've written down that I'm going to be sending you an email about this.
It's fine. I'll send you something, and you can see yourself, and I'll send you a demo video of our software in action.
Please,
so you can take a look at it.
Yeah, I'm all over this. I am all over this because, like I said, support whatever you and your family are doing and will be doing, and I love this opportunity. That, like, I think we actually have comments in the. Let me just hold on a second. So, our Artley Creative Agency says, "Good morning, fellas. Good morning to you also." Fitness IQ Cam says, "Morning, everyone." And JG Mar says, "Had to step away for a few minutes. We ain't going anywhere. We even got to our main conversation." Harry has got me really ongoing. I'm just like, I am so excited just to support you and give you my lens on it. Because I'm working on this opportunity, and basically I have a list of 30 different organizations, but I even say, okay, ask the software, hey, this is the idea. This is what I want to do. Who should I be offering this to? How should I present it to each one of them because each one is going to be a different presentation model.
Yep. And that's your opening, question. Now, the difference between us and the large language models, the ChatGPT and all those things, is we're not going to just spit something back to you. We're going to start asking you more questions, right? And as we ask more questions, okay, in nanoseconds, we pull down from the internet data relative to you, and we get to a point where we say, hey, does this look like the strategic question you need to get into? And once you agree, right? Then we move on to the other. So it's six AI stands for the 6 steps to applied intelligence, which I created, right? So that AI that first step defines the strategic questions. And once we define the strategic questions, then the system starts going to step 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 in order to build a full strategy. And what you will get back is a full strategy presentation form that's updated automatically because it's live into in the universe, right? In the internet, that type of thing with data, and it's updated. And the difference is this, right?
Yeah.
What happens is somebody like yourself, right, who may not have the financial resources to go out and hire consultants, which is a waste of money anyways. Think about it. Artificial intelligence, right? And what we're using, we're not using again, large language models or anything like that. What we're using are AI agents. So we create these AI agents. Hey, you get this, you get that. Because when the machine is having a conversation with you, you have multiple things happening in your brain, right? You're thinking about sponsorship, you're thinking about marketing, you're thinking about 5 different things.
Yeah.
So the multiple agents that we have within the software will be each agent will go figure this out, go figure that out, and then and this happens like this, of course, right? That's the power of technology, and it comes back to you. So really, what we're giving you is world-class level, right, consultant services.
Wow.
Okay, at a fraction of the price in a subscription-based model for a few bucks a month, just the same way Canva operates.
Yeah.
And that's how we're going to bring down the big consultant business.
Well, I like you're a true disruptor.
Always been, man. Ain't no way to roll.
Perry, I'm going to put this ask out to you.
Yeah.
If your schedule allows, I'd love to you to come on once a month and talk about whatever, whether it's from an AI, especially from the AI perspective.
Yeah.
Like an AI, what's going on in
Yeah.
AI.
Yeah.
So we can chat about that, because our people, a lot of us are not, as usual, using it to the full capability. And like, even I heard the other day, ChatGPT is are they buying a software company or hardware company with a guy who was part of the early days of Apple? I can't remember the exact. And I'm going, we need to know about these things, family.
There's a lot of things happening, and ChatGPT, obviously OpenAI, is not profitable. They're not getting profitable. They're going to hit a wall, and they're basically going to become a surveillance company, right? Because they have revenues of about 4 billion. I'm not sure. Don't quote me, but 4 billion a year. But their expenses are like 9 billion a year. So there's no like, listen. I understand it, but I think a lot of people don't understand. But if you don't understand it, and if you don't understand what's happening in AI, in digitization, in globalization, you're going to be left behind. So, hey, happy to do that.
Okay, well, number of things to chat on. Well, let's get to our main topic. Before that, I want to say, because I know Perry can, as you see, Perry can chat all day long about AI. So that's why I said, okay, let's see if I can get him once a month to just whatever he wants to chat about AI. Let's make it happen. Good morning. Opal Inspire says, good morning, everyone. Good morning, Opal Inspire. Make sure you follow her artistic creations on YouTube. All right. So you have written this article, what's really behind Shedeur Sanders' unexplainable NFL draft slide. So there may be not a lot of people that follow the sports, or in this slide, the business of sports. Here. So can you give some background, and we can get into the conversation about Shedeur Sanders, and then also why you wrote the article?
So what happened, right, is that when this stuff happened, when the NFL basically conspired to have Shedeur drop in the draft, basically to teach him a lesson, I made a quick post on Facebook about it. And then Camille saw it, right? I gotta say, Camille's really, really, a great editor. She's just on top of everything, right? So Camille saw it on Facebook, and she says, this is great. Why don't we just write an article for Buy Blacks, right? But then we wanted, like, it was in the middle of the election, right? I wrote an article about the election, and it was just the middle election, so it wasn't the right time. So we kind of left it. And then, we were talking about, what do you want to talk about when I come on, right? And then, we discussed this. So that's how it basically came. But really, to give a little bit of background, the NFL, Shedeur Sanders, who's the son of primetime Deion Sanders, Hall of Fame quarterback, the best cornerback in the history of the NFL, probably one of the best athletes ever in the world. He was a coach at HBCU University. Then he got
I think it was Jackson State,
I think, of Mississippi. So then he was hired to Colorado, and Colorado was like 1-14 or whatnot. They only won one game. So basically, he went there, and everybody's thinking, he's gonna fail. And Colorado is what you call a Big Five school. All old boys, white coaches, right? So long story short, he went there, and we know he outperformed. Colorado was, on TV. Everybody's looking for him to fail, but he's outperformed. And he this year, for example, he had they even got a bowl game, which is unheard of. I mean, you turn around a 1-5 program that quickly. But just quickly, Travis, I think it's Travis Hunter, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
He won the Heisman Trophy, Colorado, and Shedeur Sanders won the award for the best passer in I'm not saying exactly right, but the best, most accurate passer, most amount of yards. He won all those awards. And people were talking about him going number one, certainly top 2, 3 or whatnot. But you know, Deion Sanders, prime time, is a very strong black man, and he's super intelligent, super articulate, and so is his son. And his son making NIL money, you know, about $4 million in college. So, you know, Sanders, you know, came in and projected to go in the top 3, top 5 or whatnot. And all of a sudden, you know, teams come and pass him by. And next thing you know, he's gone in the 5th round to Cleveland, which is number 144. And, you know, you don't have to be a genius to figure out that this was the NFL owners conspired essentially to teach him a lesson. And this is not only coming from me. You know, many analysts have said that, and like I quoted in my article, Stephen A. Smith said, let's call this what this is. This is a different situation, but it's Colin Kaepernick all over again. So my contention is like, look, right? The NFL is a reflection of America, right? And I call it, you know, it's a big plantation. And, you know, these guys are, you know, the NFL and the owners don't want the athletes, the black athletes, to be kind of running the show, right? You know, they wanted to be in charge. So they basically send, you know, Shador a message. But just to wrap up, my article talks about that, but you know me, it's applied intelligence here, and I use data. So the second half of my article is strictly data analytical analysis. So you can't argue with the numbers.
Excellent, good stuff. So in your view, what role does the media play in shaping the narratives around black quarterbacks, specifically Shador Sanders?
The media in all American society plays a role because the media plays into the status quo, and the media, you know, has historically looked at black athletes, you know, as athletes. You know, like I said, I quoted in, I think it was Laura Ingraham of Fox News, when LeBron James was speaking out on black issues or Black Lives Matter or whatnot, and basically said, you know, shut up and play, right? And that's really what, you know, they want the black athlete to do. And again, like when what happened with Colin Kaepernick, it is what it is. And the NFL, that's the NFL. I mean, listen, at the end of the day, you know, I've compared the NFL to a big plantation, and really what it is, the NFL specifically, more specifically the NFL than any other league. The NFL, basically, you have a bunch of white owners, right? And you have black athletes who get paid a whole bunch of money, and they're basically hey, this is our business. You work for us. Irrespective if you're making all this money, you just need to you know, shut up and play. So Deion Sanders, right, and his son Shador, who are intelligent and smart and all that kind of stuff, you know, didn't fit that mold. They were a threat because Sanders has so much success. He's a Hall of Famer. They're even looking to hire him for the Dallas Cowboys or whatnot, which I believe he declined, right? So he would have too much power, and his son would have too much power. And one of the things was, you know, Sanders said, one of the big things he said, there's some teams that I don't want my son to go to. So if you recruit him, if you draft him, he's not going to go there. Now, remember, back in the day, Eli Manning, right, the brother of Peyton Manning, and his father, Archie Manning, Eli was drafted by, I can't remember who it was, right? I think it was a West Coast team or whatnot. I'm not even sure if it was the Chargers. But he said he's not going there. And he said he wants him to go to the Giants. The white guy got away with doing that. Now Sanders is doing that. But guess what? No, he can't do that because he's a black man, right? So I'm just trying to say, people to understand, the NFL, like everything else, is a microcosm of American society. That's really what it is. So don't think it's sports and entertainment or anything. They're microcosms of American society. The American society still prevails over those, over the culture, and you know the original sin of America still prevails in the society and culture.
All right, just to catch up on some comments. Good morning, Cassandra London. Good to see you and good to have you here. JJ Marr says there's a good book called $40 Million Slaves that describes all of this. And I've heard of that book. I think it was written by a gentleman named Bill Roden, but I'm going to look up while during the conversation, see if we can find that. Now, Clayton Martin says a flamboyant black quarterback with dreads went #1 overall in this same draft.
Yeah, but that's, I don't think that's the point. I mean, you see, people can be selective based on their motivations and their narratives. So a quarterback that's not the point. The point is the point was the background I just said about Deion Sanders and Shedeur Sanders, right? And I think what this caller doesn't understand, because I believe of his particular views, is that the whole idea, right, is that traditionally, Stephen A. Smith, and in the article it says that the quintessential quarterback, the quarterback that the data says they want, is the smart, accurate quarterback, the diligent quarterback, the pocket passer, right? That's the quintessential quarterback, and that's what they wanted. Okay, now Shedeur Sanders happens to be a black quarterback, and the black quarterbacks have always been the running, highly athletic quarterback, like Lamar Jackson, that type of thing. So think about this for a second. If the quintessential quarterback has to be cerebral, disciplined, pocket passer, super accurate, not a runner, okay? And that's what the NFL wants. But the black quarterback is identified as an athletic quarterback who can run. Now, the issue is Shedeur Sanders is the quintessential quarterback based on all the ratings and based on everything. He's not an athlete like Cam Ward or whatnot. He's not a super athlete he's not a runner. Now, all of a sudden now, they're flipping the script and saying, hey, the accurate, cerebral, good passer quarterback is not what we want. We want the running quarterback. All of a sudden, you flip that script, right? So I think what happens is people don't really apply their intelligence and look at the situation, right? And analyze it. And like I said, okay, what I'm doing is I'm relying on data, not from me, okay, as you see in the article, I'm relying on data in terms of how black quarterbacks are treated or whatnot. So you really have to think, you have to really apply your intelligence and think and look at the analysis in order to come up with these conclusions. I just don't look at the highlights. I look beyond it and I look deeper. And that's the whole point of applied intelligence. I'm just not some guy, flinging an opinion around. Lost.
All right, just flying around some screens here. So we got a lot of great engagement going on already on this. And as usual, Perry, when he comes on, he always gets the engagement going. He always gets the engagement going. So just give me a second here. I'm just doing something right quick. All right. So let's look at some more comments here. JJ Marr says John Elway was drafted by Baltimore and refused to play with them until Denver made a deal with them.
It happens all the time.
And then Derek Tuggle says, good morning, Derek. Hope you're fine. Exactly. That's why Kaepernick is not playing.
Yep.
JJ Marr says, and nobody gave Elway too much of a problem when he did that.
Yep.
And IPV ADT says to Clayton saying, are you talking about Cam Ward, and why describe as flamboyant?
There you go. So, even black folks buy into the narratives, unfortunately, right? Racism doesn't work if our own black folks don't buy into the race, to their own, degradation of themselves. So yeah, why would you use flamboyant? I mean, I know who Cam Ward is. He's not flamboyant at all. But it's interesting why you would choose the word flamboyant to describe this black man. So, IPV, that's a very, very good point you made. I'm glad you pointed that out.
Okay. Also, we have here, also says he should have never gotten to the 5th round. At least he should have gone 3rd round. We know why he ended up in the 5th round pick. It's ridiculous. Clayton Martin says also, Cam Ward is an accurate cerebral QB who is not a runner, just like Shedeur. I watch almost all his games. This argument holds no water. Ooh.
Well, you're going to have it's. Well, you know what? We disagree with him. The facts don't say that. You can make any argument you want, but I like to look at the facts, and that's why my article is filled with data. So it's not about opinion, and it's not about your motivation of what you, because obviously Martin is a right wing guy, right? We all know that, but that's why in the article there are facts and there's data, right? So in the beginning, I give my point of view. I give the point of view of others in the sporting industry, right? That's how I write. I write based on facts, right? And then in the second half of it, it's all data. So you could say anything you want, but it doesn't mean if it's not backed up by data, then to me, it's not worth having a conversation.
Okay. All right. We got some more comments here. JJ Mars says there's also a lot of hate toward Coach Prime, and actually JJ Mars lives in Colorado. So
yes, great.
Yeah. Right. So toward Coach Prime from the establishment because he's a recruitment magnet. Good morning, Just Tornado says, good morning, Dr. Vibe and all. Good to have you here from Texas, Just Tornado. Clayton says, if you watch him, he's also a super alpha and very talkative. Have any of you watched his games? He's a pure showman. And Clayton also says, I'm not left wing or right wing. I am as non-partisan as it gets. It's about truth. Ooh, okay. Okay. He says it's about truth. Okay. Let's ask you another question. Based on your research, what are the main arguments scouts or analysts use to justify Shedur's slide in draft projections?
That's the thing. There is none, right? Mm-hmm. So the other day they were asked, I think at a press conference, they asked one general manager, like, you recruited this guy? Right, this guy low down list. Why didn't you recruit Shedur? Like what? Like there is no. The problem is there is no answer. There's no answer. There's no data, right? And people are not stupid. People understand, how a guy, was rated, number one, 2, 3, 5, super accurate. And he won the awards, right? He has all the awards, right? So let's not. One of the things I don't want to do, I don't get into all these, justifications or make things up. To answer your question directly, there is no explanation for it. Okay, even on the white sort of talk show host, for lack of a better word, sports show, they say the same thing. The NFL conspired to teach them a lesson and to teach primetime a lesson, and that's basically what it is. But the funny thing is, though, Shedeur will probably be the starting quarterback.
This is what I'm hearing.
Quarterback for the Browns. So
this is what I'm hearing, that he has a good opportunity.
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier on in our conversation, Laura Ingram. It was a comment she made many years ago when LeBron James made a comment about American politics. He said he just needs to shut up and dribble.
Yes, that's exactly what I mentioned, and that is the narrative. It's about power, right? Remember that the world is about power. Who has it wants to keep it, and they want to exercise it when they can to maintain that power. This is all this is about. That's it, right? I mean, it's just the exercising of power. And look, at the end of the day, right, if we had more, black billionaires and NFL owners who are black, these things wouldn't be happening, right? It's just the way the world is. No, I'm not. You know me. I'm very focused, and I live and I deal with reality. It's the reality of the situation. I'm just pointing it out so people are not fooled, by the nonsense talk out there, and they just understand, what is happening. This is just how the real world works. But in the end, this might work out. You see, the thing is for Shedeur, right? He's already wealthy, right? His father's wealthy. Dion just signed signed a $10 million a year contract, making one of the highest paid in the NFL, in the college football. Plus, he probably doesn't have $20 million in endorsements. His son did $4 million NIL. So unlike, let's say, the average young black, athlete coming in, Shador is already wealthy. So for him, as you see, he's played it well. He didn't get upset. He didn't get angry. He's smiling. He's laughing. I was watching the show the other day. I think they had a lineman on from Cleveland, and they're basically smiling. The players know they want him to start, so he'll end up starting, and he will have the last laugh at the end of the day. And this is why I love Deion Sanders. He's intelligent. He's been very quiet, as you've seen here. Since his son has been since the situation. He's been very quiet. He's strategic. Now, I guarantee you, when Shador starts to roll, okay, he will start to talk. But Sanders is smart. Don't say nothing now. He knows his son is good. He will prove it, and when he proves it, the actions speak louder than words.
Well, we know that all cameras are going to be on him.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
When he starts, especially in the preseason, etc. And it's going to be, but he's in quite a competition where he's drafted to Cleveland, because there's another quarterback named Dylan Gabriel that was drafted, and they also have a veteran quarterback. So it's going to be interesting, but it will be very curious to see if he's the starter by half season in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like he will. It looks like he will. I was listening to Louis Riddick yesterday on ESPN.
Oh, I like him.
Very good. Very good chance that he will start, because don't forget, Dylan Gabriel is Shador Sanders is not a 5th-round quarterback. He's a 1st-round quarterback. It's just that this bullshit has taken place. So So who do you have? You have Joe Flacco, who is just there. If anything happens, then you have Pickett, who came out of Pittsburgh, who's is nothing, and then you have Dylan Gabriel, who really is a 4th or 5th-round quarterback. So the way the reps have been given to Shador, so I'm just going off the NFL analysts. I haven't seen it. I mean, I see clips and stuff, but I haven't seen it for myself. So the information I'm relaying to you is what I've heard from the NFL analysts, that he probably will start. Right? He's super accurate, so why not?
Let's get back to some comments. IPV ADDT says, Clayton, do you know how many, quote, showmen, unquote, are excellent players? We're talking about enough ballers are Super Bowl ring holders. JG Mars says, some see Coach Prime as a potential influencer, so they don't want anyone like another Muhammad Ali coming from the Black community.
100%.
Very good. Clayton says, I agree. There's no doubt they taught Shador's daddy a lesson. It's called leverage and power. As long as there's no black-owned league, in pre-civil rights, this is reality. APB says Shador and his brother are already making huge tracks in the NFL, right down to the jerseys.
Yes.
And they're already high selling, and they know how to play and play good. Guaranteed they'll continue to be watched.
Yep, that's true. So he has 2 sons. Listen, he has 2 sons in the NFL. Yeah. He's doing pretty good. He changed. Deion changed around college football through the portal, because when he came there, he's not like, I'm not stupid. I'm not going to sit here and try to build like these coaches. I won't last 2-3 years. I'll get fired. So what he did, he used his intelligence, and he went into the portal, and he got rid of all the players in Colorado, and people came into the portal. Now he's getting all the top draft. He's getting all the top people coming from the new quarterback that he has coming in to replace Shador. He has 2 great quarterbacks, one coming out of high school and one coming from another university. So the fear is right, that this black coach will become like the dominant, like a Nick Saban in college football. And all this is just disrupts the old boys network in terms of how things happen. So again, at the end of the day, it's about power, and Sanders will use his power, to change things. He's already made great changes. So, that's what's going on.
Clayton says individual wealth means nothing. Every dollar spent on cars, clothes, or jewelry is a wealth transfer to others, because he doesn't own the factories making them. the money flows out. That's a whole other conversation.
I mean, listen. Clayton is a right-wing Trump supporter. We all know that. So, like, let's move on from this guy. Please.
Okay.
Let's not waste our time.
In the house, good morning, Dr. Tachi is in the house saying good morning, Hall. And we just mentioned Indie Soup Media. Go check it out. Let me ask, are there any parallels in the way Black quarterbacks have been evaluated or critiqued in past drafts? So is this an individual thing, or is this happened in the past to Black quarterbacks?
Excellent question. So if you go to the article, that's exactly, I gave the analysis from a professor of economics who studied this, right? And he gave the criteria of how Black quarterbacks have been rated. So it's all there in the article, all the data, all the stuff that is in the article. So that Dr. Tachi's question is a really excellent question, because again, like I said, we have to go to the data to get the truth, right? And that's what I've done in the second part of the article. And I don't have it in front of me now, but from memory, what he does, he rates the particular quarterbacks, how Black quarterbacks and white quarterbacks are treated. So after the data, he sums it up and he basically says that for a white quarterback to be drafted, they can be average, right? But for a Black quarterback, they have to be amazing, right? So the mediocrity for white quarterbacks to get drafted is fine, but to draft the Black quarterback, they have to be amazing. That's why you see so many white quarterbacks are still drafted and they're not amazing. But quarterbacks like let's say in the past that who are top, who are amazing, they get drafted. And if you remember, and I point that out in the article, if you remember Lamar Jackson, right? Lamar Jackson, they were telling him to go play wide receiver in the pros as opposed to a quarterback because of the athleticism. You understand? So what we're essentially looking at, and again, take an opportunity to read the article and read the data, right? What I like to do when I write, I just don't like to give my opinion. Everything I say, I like to back it up with information and facts. And even in the first part of the article, a lot of the stuff I'm saying comes directly from the college scouting reports in terms of what they said, because it's contemporaneous, what they said, and Stephen A. Smith on and the discussions from different analysts or whatnot. So yes, I've written it, but my backup is from reliable sources.
All right. So Derek says this is why Michael Jordan relinquished his ownership of the Hornets, because he wanted to build the team his way and wasn't able to.
Listen, correct. Michael Jordan, whether you like it or not, right? This doesn't have that wealth like these business owners have, right?
Billionaires.
They're billionaires. So Michael Jordan is not technically he's not a billionaire, right? And he doesn't have a company that's generating, like Air Jordans and stuff. Is Phil Knight is the man, right? So what happens with the Hornets? He's a minority owner. You're nothing if you're a minority owner. You got no power. You got no say. It's great. They listen. Let's be honest. They wanted Michael Jordan there for the Michael Jordan name. Michael Jordan learned pretty quickly that he's not really an owner, right? He's the mascot. Essentially, like it's not. I mean, I don't mean a mascot, but like he's not an owner. So
he's a face. He's a face. He's a face.
He's a face. He's a power. And what makes me laugh now too is a lot of like, Black athletes looking to buy into like who was it? I don't know if it was LeBron or something looking to buy into soccer teams.
He does have ownership. I think.
Yeah. And even Serena Williams looking to. I think
she has a small ownership of, I think, the Miami Dolphins, and she also has a small ownership piece in the upcoming women's NBA team in Toronto.
Correct, she does. But at the end of the day, you're a minority. Like, people don't understand business. You're a minority owner. They're just using your money. You think you have power, but you don't. Right? You do not. The person that has power is the majority owner. And that's what. So if you look what happened with the Dallas Mavericks, Cuban sold his thing to a big group, right? And they're the majority owners. And Cuban now, you don't hear from him because he's a minority owner. He has no power. So when Dallas, for example, did that trade, when they traded Luka to LA, right? The majority owners now are business guys. Cuban was really loved the players. He would have never traded him, but what's his name? The general manager who made the to make the trade.
Yes, who's still taking a lot of
trade, but that was, you don't make those trades without the owners. But those owners are business people. They're like, why are we going to pay Luka $300 million and he can't play defense? He's not good. And he was right. You've seen what happened, with Luka and LA. So that was a business decision. Okay, because Nico Harris didn't make that decision on his own. It was a business decision made by the majority owner, and that's how the world works. Who has the gold rules, right? That's basically how it is.
All right. Also, IPV says similar examples we could bring up as Michael Vick, Cam Newton, Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts, who his team won the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah,
the same sort of thing. He's not this, he's not that. They won the Super Bowl last year.
Yeah, man. Even Jalen Hurts, even if you look at Jalen Hurts when he, what he did at Alabama and then he transferred to Oklahoma and all the success that he had, he was never considered an NFL. Jalen Hurts is a success story. Jalen Hurts is a success story because he was never looked at as the pocket passer, the great passer. He was looked like a option quarterback, that type of thing. But he prevailed through hard work. So that just goes to show you, right, the narrative of what the NFL does. And all of a sudden now, the narrative of looking for the accurate cerebral pocket passer, which Shador is, now all of a sudden, that's not what you want. You want Cam Ward, right? So it's just hypocritical. And no one's going to tell me what my lying eyes and my research is telling me.
Well, you and I have been around long enough, and you mentioned this gentleman's name in the article, Doug Williams.
Yes.
Back with the Washington Redskins.
Yeah.
And then look at the progression, how now more and more teams, they have something called the run and shoot offense.
Yes.
Mobile quarterback. Well, more teams are looking at that. Like even a great quarterback like, oh, why am I forgetting his name? Oh my gosh. For the you know what? Give me a second. Patrick Mahomes.
Yes.
He's a running quarterback when he needs to be.
When he needs to be, but even Patrick Mahomes dropped to 10.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And remember, Warren Moon, who was a quarterback like Shador
again,
Sanders.
Houston Gamblers, run and shoot off like the USFL.
Yeah. So
not a pocket.
Yeah. So you see, Warren Moon had to come to Canada and win 4 Grey Cups.
Yeah.
Before he could get a chance to go to the U.S. So listen, look. At the end of the day, whether people like to deal with it or not, I look at the data, I do the analysis, and I present it. It's fact-based, right? Not opinion-based, and that's what it is. Whether people can handle the truth or not, it's up to them. But it is what it is, man.
So JG Marr says, I remember the Browns Johnny Manziel, who was drafted, serious frat party boy, drug user, complete troublemaker, and was still drafted in the first round.
There you go. Say no more.
All right. Dr. Taji says, hey there to Derek. Also, JG Marr says, and sport writers went easy on Manziel.
They didn't report cocaine use. They didn't report drunken episodes. They didn't report arrests. They didn't report all these things. But guess what? In the days leading up to the NFL draft, all of a sudden stories came out about Shador Sanders. He's not respectful. He's arrogant. He's this, right? So what happens with black men sometimes who are highly intelligent? The white guys say, "Oh, they're arrogant." They mistake confidence, and instead of having the white guy, they would say, "Hey, he's confident," but the black guy, they will say he's arrogant. So all these stories came up from anonymous sources, right? that were weak. Nobody in their right mind believed them anyways about Shador Sanders' attitude or whatnot. No, it's called intelligence, and it's called what black man sitting in the room has intelligence enough, a young black kid sitting in the room has intelligence enough to answer the questions and and respond to it with his own intellect, as opposed to sitting there and giving the canned answers that the other usual black quarterbacks may or players may give. And that's a function of who he is and how he was raised by his father, Deion Sanders, prime time. Okay, because that's really what it is. So when they're confronted with this intelligence, they're not used to it, and what they're saying, hey, you need to stay in your place. that's what they're saying.
Okay, good stuff. All right, let's continue on with comments. JJ Marsh says, and sport writers went easy on Manziel, and then also says, even before Doug Williams, and you had mentioned Warren Moon, who played in Canada. Derek says, look at all the hype Baker Mayfield, and look what happened. He ends up getting traded to Tampa, and also says, hello to Dr. Chachi. Baker Mayfield was another guy too.
Yeah, like listen. It's a double standard. We all know that. This is what the professor was saying, right? The professor was saying the white quarterbacks who are mediocre, they get protected because there's a network there, right? So what ends up happening in the ownership is white, and the main big executive decision makers are white. So at the end of the day, when the scouts go out, they understand who signs their check, and they understand what to sort of look for. And it's easier for the white quarterbacks. Listen, I'm not saying, for me, as you know, I understand, I teach my kids, the world is not fair. Okay? It is not fair. So it is up to you to do what you have to do to prepare yourself to succeed and thrive in the universe. Okay? So I'm not sitting here saying, oh, this is not fair, and that's not. I'm saying this is the way it is. So it's up to us now to understand that and execute accordingly for our own individual success.
Okay. So what do you feel Shador's situation says about the progress or lack of progress of not only black quarterbacks in football, but the black athlete?
Good question. So one of the things, right, I also recognized in this thing is none of the black athletes, even the big ones with the big contracts, spoke out about what's happening to Shador. Because at the end of the day, who controls their money, right? So at the end of the day, they're employees, right? They're employees. And even though they're making a couple $100 million, nobody wants to lose their job. Nobody wants to be on the wrong side of ownership and have something happen to them like Shador or Colin Kaepernick. So they stay silent. The only thing we can do is to understand and understand how the real world works, and understand, unless we have some ownership, unless we have equity, okay. And I'm not talking necessarily. We're talking about having ownership in a football team. What I'm understanding, we have to create a culture of entrepreneurship. We have to create a culture that we want to go out there and build businesses and compete at a level. Once you have equity and once you have an ownership, it's a different ballgame. But we have to think long term. Okay, this is not going to happen overnight, or even maybe not in my lifetime, because equity has to build from businesses that start up, and then it's passed along to the next generation, and that next generation builds that businesses, and that's how you own football teams, right? And basketball teams. It's really as simple as that. So unless you don't understand the long-term play in terms of how power is gotten, we're going to continue to struggle, essentially.
Okay. IPV says they tore up Michael Vick, not saying what he did was right, but he walked the plank for years. Look at Kaepernick, maybe one player who will never officially retire due to what's taken place. Yeah, he hasn't officially retired.
Oh, he hasn't officially retired, but I mean, it's pretty much over. Listen, What I also say to Black athletes is you have a personal responsibility to understand the universe and understand what you have to do. Michael Vick should know, or should have known, that if you get caught in anything as a Black athlete, you're going to be screwed, right? It's like that Hollywood guy, Robert Downey Jr. How many times drugs, blah blah blah, he's gotten messed up, but he keeps getting movie roles after movie roles because he's well connected in Hollywood. So and people in ownership know him, and that's his people, so he's going to be fine. So as a Black athlete, you have like I told my kids, you have a personal response. I have a young Black male, right, my son, and you have a personal responsibility to understand what can hurt you and what can help you. So you have to act according to that. It's not about how you feel. It's about what you need to do, okay, to continue to move forward. And we all have personal responsibilities. This is, that's the way it goes. If you don't accept and understand that, then there's going to be problems. The world's not fair.
Yeah, it's not fair, but some people say it's just.
Listen, I think you make your own, the world is so unfair, right? But for me, I'm a realist, but I'm also a humanitarian. So I can recognize the world for what it is, and in my business, I'm going to be cutthroat. I'm going to do whatever I have to do. But I'm also a humanitarian. I also recognize that the suffering of other people, and we as a human being, we can't just dismiss the suffering of other people. And for me, a lot of the stuff that I write is to contribute. I want to contribute to society with my knowledge and see if it can help anybody. That's why I do the writing. The writing is not my business, but I just feel like that's my humanitarian side, and that's why I do it.
Okay. JG Mars says IPV, ADDT. Yep, they went after Vic like a pack of hounds.
That's what they do, right?
Yeah, and again, going back, if you're old enough, remember Michael Vick got the whole country about the dogs.
Yeah.
Way back. JG Mars says Ben Roethlisberger was charged multiple times for SA. Yep, they continue to allow him to play. And JG Mars says no pun intended about Big's comment that I made. Well, I knew there was no pun intended. I know where you're coming from.
Well, let me point out in terms of Roethlisberger. So I'm going to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers and the head coach Mike Tomlin, right? Mike Tomlin Mike Tomlin has been close to 20 years.
Yeah.
He's won a Super Bowl as a Black coach. He's one of the most respected Black coach. Mike Tomlin didn't draft a quarterback. Now they're running around for Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers they have no quarterback. Pittsburgh should have drafted Shador. But that shows you even a coach like Tomlin with that much power doesn't have the power.
He doesn't have the final say.
He doesn't have the final say.
The owner's
an employee, right? So you guys are just gonna have to wait till Perry Douglas owns NFL teams.
6 AI ownership.
6 AI. That's the only way, man.
6 AI ownership.
That's gonna wait.
Let me ask, what changes do you feel need to happen in the NFL and media to ensure they have fair evaluations in the future?
I don't know if there's much that can be done at this point. Things are run by humans based on their personal feelings and all that. Look what happened with changes with the Art Rooney rule in terms of in terms of Black head coaches. Black head coaches are not. They may interview them, but they're not getting the jobs. It's I don't have the answer to that. I just don't know. I just can't see things change. I think what has to happen is that Black athletes have to be more mindful and recognize their power in their money and be able to apply pressure or what they do and what they say and how they invest. And I think if they do that, then they may have more respect and more influence. So I tend to look at internally, if there's a problem, I tend to look at myself, or I tend to, as opposed to looking to blame others, I tend to look at what I can do, right? Because, looking at others to change your world is not going to happen. You're the one who has to make the changes yourself. And anybody can do anything, reasonably speaking, if they apply themselves. So that's the way I see it, and that's the way I tell my kids to do. Don't worry about what other people's doing. Worry about what you are doing and what you have to do to get the life that you want.
IPV says players have to put their foot down.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of things, yeah.
But I think the challenge with that, though, is
they're employees.
Yeah. Like,
Yeah,
and here's another question. What is not stopping a group of these athletes starting their own league?
No, that from a business perspective doesn't work, right?
Oh, okay.
But yeah, that's like the what you have to do. Like, there's the whole business side of that, right? There's a whole business side of that. Doesn't mean that retired Black athletes can't put together, a fund or something to I don't know, start their own league, but maybe start buying their own teams. I think that's what I think one of the things we don't want to do is we don't want to try to exist in an alternative universe that doesn't exist. We need to play in the same playing field in the mainstream. So the best way to do it is to manage your wealth, invest properly, and come together and, as a consortium and buy one team and another team and another team. And then, you got a seat at the table and you go from there. That's the most feasible way. The problem is, getting these athletes to think like that. That's really the difficult part.
Okay, so we got a question here from Matt Duffy. Matt asks, could the players possibly form a union, or is that something that wouldn't be possible? I'm not very knowledgeable with the NFL. Well, the NFL does have
a union,
but again, the way the union is set up, the majorities get the owners get the majority of the revenue. The players get, I think, 49%. The owners get 51% of the revenues.
Yeah, I don't know the details of it, but I don't think the question is about a union. I just think, with the Shedeur Sanders thing, right? I just think what I'm trying to get people to do is I'm just trying to get people to understand how the world works, right? And you're not going to make big changes overnight. I think you have to be strategic, you have to be, calculative, and you have to be tactical in order to succeed in this world, right? And I think, from my perspective, after what happened with Shedeur, the way I see Shedeur Sanders and Deion Sanders acting is exactly like they're strategic, they're tactical, and don't worry, you're going to hear from them. But they also know you got to succeed first, right?
Yeah, I think
that's the way it is.
I think it also comes down, you don't want to play checkers, you want to play chess.
Absolutely. So that's why you see, so again, it's like if everybody is just doing what they got to do, ultimately, like I said in, I don't know if I said this in the article, but at the end of the day, we need Black business ownership. We need equity. Equity leads to influence, and influence leads to power. And that's how the world works. I can't with that.
Yeah, it gets down to equity and power and ownership. No matter wherever you go, that's what it is. Especially whether it's in football. Football is just entertainment.
It is.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it's entertainment. We are watching or paying people to perform.
It's entertainment, and who owns that entertainment is key, right? Who owns that entertainment? And if you're the owner of it, you got the power. If you're not, then you're gonna have to figure out how you become. For me, I'm doing what I need to do to have equity and to have power, right? And that's coming through business and technology. And I know until I do it, I'm a nobody, right? So I'm not under any illusion. So the job for me is to go get it done, and I'm just going to get it done. And then when I get it done, then I can assert my my power. It's really as simple as that. Like, this is how the world works, right?
As we start closing it down, what suggestions would you give to any young Black athlete that wants to get to the professional level?
What I would say to young Black athletes is focus, be an athlete and use sports to get a university education. Because the reality is the vast majority is not making it to the NFL. The vast majority is not making it to the, NBA or whatnot. So I could just say, fortunately for me, I come from a highly educated, family. My mother, man, she was the smartest person I know. And I remember I played basketball. I played basketball for Team Canada. I'm from Montreal. I played basketball. And I got some scholarship offers from some universities in the States. But it wasn't like Duke, or it was like Duke or
North Carolina,
yeah,
or Louisville, or University of UConn, or anything like that, or
it wasn't anything
UCLA.
like that, right? So I'm like, hey, you know what? I got good grades. I'm going to McGill. I was like in the high 80s and stuff like that. My mother's like, you get your education. And I was still playing basketball for the Canadian basketball team. So I went to McGill, and that was the best thing I did. One of the top universities in the world. So if I didn't do that, where the hell would I be? You know what I'm saying? So I'm just saying education and knowledge is everything. Okay. You want to create wealth, develop your knowledge in whatever you want. Right. So what happened, even when I went to McGill, I did, well, it's because it was academic, but I did get, an academic and sports scholarship money, and it was actually good. So I did get something. So what I'm saying is you should use sports, okay, to try to get yourself a free education. And if you make it to the NFL, if you make it to the NBA, great. But if you don't, because the odds are you won't, but you just got yourself a free education and you have a life. Okay? And even if you play pro sports, the NFL, you know what they say, is not for long. That's what the NFL stands for. Not for long. 3 years is the average. So you got a whole life after that, right? So my advice to particularly young Black males is, sports is great. All my kids played sports. Everyone, they all played sports and at high levels. But at the end of the day, education has to go with that, because now, when sports is over, if you don't have that education or that
plan B,
yeah, right, and just go. So just be smart. Sports is wonderful. Go for it, 100%. Follow your dream, but use the system. Play the system. Don't let the system play you.
I think that's a great way to end it off. Perry, I want to say thanks, you so much for sharing with us today. If you want to catch the article, there is the link. If you want to catch it on the platforms you're watching this live or on replay, I have put it in the comments section. Also, his contact information on Medium, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. All the things are there. So what's next in regards to Implied Intelligence, other than Dr. Vibe on your case wanting to test out your software?
No, I'm about to go on a call where we are going to be getting governments to be demoing our software. So that's a big deal. I'm just about I have a 10:30 call coming up. Yeah, but let me I'll email you a demo video. I'll email you some stuff.
Yeah.
After you look at it, if you want to demo the software too,
I
can put you on the list.
I do want to. Don't even know, but it's a done deal.
Okay.
No, because there's a lot of.
The funny thing is, right? Quickly, I had reached out to certain people, and I didn't expect everybody, but it's like I'm oversubscribed, right? So now I'm having to strategically. I think actually having you would be great because it's a different genre, if you want to call it, for lack of a better word, right? Different sector.
Yeah.
And what I want to show is that the software is agnostic. It can be applied to every sector. And that's what we, how we are going to pitch it, how we are pitching it. So I'll send that to you a little bit later today. And then if you
whenever
want to
you have
talk
time.
about anything
We
AI,
will.
let me know.
We will. All right. As
Okay,
always,
man.
Perry, to you and your family, don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace, and we'll be in touch. Take care.
Okay, have a good weekend.
Right back at you. Take care. All right, everybody. Perry rocked, eh? And I got used to that software. This is one of the things, family. Don't be afraid to ask. Because you never know. Don't be afraid to ask. So a few things before we shut it down. And I'm gonna do it. There are a few people left watching on YouTube, and I'm just gonna see if we can run a very quick interactive poll on YouTube. And you should be seeing it right there on your screen. If you're on YouTube, I want you to rate this conversation from 1 to 5. 1 saying it was terrible, 5, eh. All you have to do is press in whatever number and hit enter, and we'll get the results in real time. We should be getting them in real time. Always checking this software. And why isn't it working today? Come on now. It should be. How come it's okay? I'm going to try. I saw Matt, you voted. Just give me a second. I'm going to do a refresh and see if it, okay. So Matt, I know you. Okay, there we go. All right. So there you go. We got it going on. I got people voting 100%. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. That is really good. Yeah, that's it for today, family. And Perry put it down. A lot of good stuff as always. And it looks like we're going to have him on at least once a month, either talking about some of his articles, talking about AI. And he is right in it, family. So we will have an AI person to chat about, especially from high level and also low level, what's going on in the world of AI and how you can use it business-wise and how it's moving in the world. So that is great. So want to thank everyone who voted. Appreciate the 100%. We're going to take that down. And as always, let's do some wrap up. If you want, please subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube, Facebook, and link. No, don't say. No, that's definitely wrong. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and hit the notification button. A little bit of a mix up there. We'll get it straight. Just be au naturel. So yes, subscribe. Would love. If we could hit 1,820 by Monday, that'd be great. But we'll take whatever we can get in a good way, by the way, not anybody. And then like the Dr. Vibe Show on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram. Join the Morning Vibe Discord group. You want to email me at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com or click on the link you see on the screen. Also to advertise your business, product, or service on any of the platforms that I'm a part of, please email me dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. Also, if you want to get a hold of Ryan Knight, he has a website called Ryan Oneil Knight.com. And I always say this, it's not N, it's KN. All right. LinkedIn, Ryan Oneil Knight. Instagram at Ryan.Knight99. Email address, workwithme at RyanOneilKnight.com. And then we've got myself, website, the drvibeshow.com, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show. Instagram at The Dr. Vibe Show. And when I say Dr. Vibe Show, it's THEDRVIBESHOW. X at drvibeshow. Email at dr.vibe at the drvibeshow.com. And we also have Dr. Vibe on Substack. Dr. Vibe, drvibe.substack.com/subscribe, and on Blue Sky at drvibe.bsky social. All right, we're done. That was quite a show. A lot of wild things went on today, but good wild things. Over the weekend, primetime Saturday, 5 p.m. Eastern, tomorrow on Saturday with Aisha and Lala. Sunday, Cesar Nadima Musa and myself, Black Canada Talking at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. That same evening, we have Black Men Can Talk with myself, Paul Osborne. Hopefully he's feeling better, and Kofi Morris. And then Monday, we have a conversation about the crisis of missing Black Canadians that are missing, and nothing is being done about it by the authorities. And we'll have 2 new friends on the show from a platform called the Daily Scrum News. The Daily Scrum News. All right, this is how we close it off. And I want to say thank you to everybody who's watched us live or on the replay. It's appreciated, not taken for granted. This is how we close it off. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller to get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. Don't just manage your time, manage your energy. Remember to give yourself grace. And as always, if you're not making money, make history. Try to do both. And then also make it better. God bless. Peace to all. Keep the faith while good. And we'll see you soon. Take care.
This whole thing of using your business with plant-based products, don't you think your life should reflect that too?
Juke him, Carolyn. Juke him. The family loves us here because they're saying Fitness IQ Can says put a wig on to get in.
Oh my God.
Like the ideas are just coming fast and furious here this morning. What? Okay, look at this. Global Women Ambassador. Good morning. Look forward. Okay.